So in this video I'm just going to go over how you can adjust the animation or the scale of the player, so you can get that squash and stretch. You can do that through sprite, so you can have like a different sprite animation if you wish, but I'm just going to show you how to do it in BP, so with your main player character. So there are a few things that we are going to have to change for this. In the sprites for our character, what we need to do is change the pivot point. So if I open up this here, you can see the pivot point's right in the center. So that means if I stretch or squash this, it's going to do that from the center. We kind of want it down below, and you can change that here. Okay, pivot point, and then you can change it down to the bottom center. Okay, the only problem then is it moves the sprite back up. I want to do this for all my sprites that I'm using in my animations. So I'm going to go through and find them all, get my run ones, and my jump as well. And I'm just going to right click them because I want to do it for all these at the same time. I can then go to Asset Actions and bulk edit via property metrics. Okay, and then this allows me to go in here and change the pivot mode for all these here to the bottom center. Instead of going in one by one and doing them, I can just do them here all at once and save. So hopefully I've got all the ones that I'm using in my blueprints. Then what I'm going to do is go back in my character, because we're going to have to adjust him as he's outside his collision box now. So all I have to do is basically move him down 25 centimeters. So I'm going to snap on by 5, turn on my grid, and move him down. And one more should do it. There we go. So in the Z, I've just moved them down by 25, and these two boxes I'm going to have to move up, just because they were parented to my sprite. But there should be okay. So just by moving that pivot point, it actually moves your player up to that pivot point where it was at the center. So I'm just coming in here to move that sprite component back down, okay, because it has been offset. So once you've got that done, I'm just going to go in and find my jump animations or blueprints. I'm just going to pull this over to the side. So there might be a few things I'm going to change here. So the first one is going to be with just straight after my jump. I'm going to have a new blueprint section. Okay, it's going to have a timeline, and it's going to set a relative transformation. So I'm going to right click, type in timeline. I'm going to add it. I'll just call it jump stretch. When he's moving up, he's going to stretch, and I'm going to Control C, Control V that, and I'm going to call the next one jump squash. And that's going to be when I land. Then I'm going to get my sprite here, pull out from that, and I'm going to get set relative transformation. There we go. So I'm going to get the update and plug it into that. I'm also going to split the struct here, so right clicking on that, split it. And I'm also going to split the scale because I only want the Z, so split the scale one. And I'm going to duplicate that. I'll move it down here as well. So it is getting a bit messy, so you should probably move things about. So update into that. So and then my jump's going to go into play from start, and my landed is also going to go into the play for start here. And that's it set up. So all we have to do now is basically set up our timeline in our two timelines. So I'm going to double click on this one. It's going to be a float. And basically when we jump, I kind of want it to start in 0 seconds. Okay, and the value for Z to start off with will be 1. Okay, then I'm going to hold down and he's going to stretch. This is going to happen fairly quickly. We can adjust that as well. So the value for this here is maybe going to be 1.2, and the values again you can mess around with. And when he's in the air, I'm just going to keep them. I'm going to hold shift and click another one, just above 1. Okay, so I do want it above 1. Just going to get these into my viewport. And I'm also going to right click and auto adjust these. I'm going to make sure this only lasts for my use last keyframe, and it's not going to loop or autoplay or anything like that. So when we jump, the character is going to stretch, then he's actually going to come back from that stretch a bit, but he's not going to hit the normal 1 value. He's going to stay above that. If we go back to our event graph, so when he lands, I'm going to add a new float. 0, 0, so 0 seconds. So when he lands, I'm going to make him like 0.8. Then I'm going to add another one in. And you can see my time there is like 0.18, so it is pretty small. I'm going to make the value 1. Grab those two and auto it. So I might have to, and make sure you got use last keyframe, I might have to tweak these values. And then I'm going to plug my new track in. I should have named these. Okay, you can name them over here. But I'm going to plug this new track into the Z in both cases. What you'll also notice is because I've moved my sprite down by -25, in the new transform location you're also going to have to put -25 in here, just to keep it consistent, otherwise it will jump up. I've got mine as -25. You may have moved your sprite down or less, down more or less, so put that value in here. So you want to make sure that you've got these connected up properly. So you've got press going into the jump, which is playing the stretch timeline from start, setting a relative transformation, and then we've got our jump squash, which is hitting off the event on landed and going into this relative transform again, playing the sound. So when we press play, you'll notice when we jump, it stretches, and it squashes when it goes down. Looking at that, I would probably change to make it a lot quicker. It's basically when it lands. So I would come into the timeline and I would just set the time to be a bit closer. Compile it, press play. So it's a bit better. And again, you can tweak it to suit whatever kind of visual style you want to have. Now I have noticed that when I shoot, you notice my character will go down, and that's basically because if I go into my sprites for my character again and find the shoot one, I think it's this one, I just have to change the pivot to bottom center again. Save that. I'll save this again. And you'll see it won't go down. And it's the same as my enemy characters, just because they haven't been set yet. I need to go in and edit those because they're using the same sprite sheet, and just make it -25. Compile and save, press play, it'll be okay. So that's how you add in the squash and stretch. And it doesn't have to be, you know, that timeline. You can have it kind of bounce, so you can make it like squash a bit, you know, go up and then come back down and then go up. That would be pretty cool to have. Like, there's a lot that you can do with this timeline if you wanted to.